and thank you for joining. We'll be talking today about building an enterprise NLP platform. The natural language processing field is booming. COVID-19 induced a positive demand shock all across the field. NLP solutions are adapted in many industries, such as healthcare, manufacturing, advertising, fintech, etc. The growth is only expected to continue. As the world is becoming more connected, there's a lot more textual data everywhere. So there's huge potential for NLP solutions. Here are a select few examples of use cases that we have at Intuit. Intent classification, topic clustering, entity recognition. This can be personally identifiable information. It can be company names. It can be locations, etc. Call summarization. We do both abstractive and extractive summarization. Sentiment analysis, and just so much more than I can get into here. So, we've been wondering for a long time, how can we achieve the most impact with NLP? And this comes with a huge asterisk. Of course, we're limited in the manpower that we have. So, still, how can we maximize impact? How can we scale? And with just a few team members. Moreover, how do we accelerate our development? And how do we accelerate the use of NLP services across the company? So, in order to process textual data at scale, we need to make NLP capabilities available to internal data and engineering communities as self-serve services. We started building generic services and code packages. One by one, slowly, we built up and collected them. Today, I'm excited to say we have 15 individual users using 5 different platform services and packages. Now, it might not sound like much, but each one of these customers would traditionally require their own individual project. And of course, projects take our attention, they take our time, and they take manpower. To give you an idea of how this might work, internal customers can discover services via an internal offerings catalog, something like a marketplace of services. They can quickly understand what each capability does, and they can select the one that they want to use right now. As they delve into the documentation, they're greeted with clearly laid out descriptions of key options, inputs, output formats, what the API is, and so on. They have everything they need to start implementing the chosen capabilities in their products. So, in this example, an online summarization service. Within minutes, they can start using the service. They don't need to wait a quarter or 2 or 3 until we develop a capability. And they're not dependent on us. They're not dependent on our availability and our prioritization. Generally, building this flow for a customer used to take months. Now, they can do it on demand, end to end, in less than an hour. We're a team of 7 NLP experts at Intuit. We built this together and we call it the NLP Platform. In this talk, I'll cover how we built it, what worked, and specifically, some things that we could have done better. At Intuit, we work with massive amounts of textual data. We have 100 million customers across 5 major products, over 100,000 campaigns, 10,000 comments every single day, 500,000 customer success calls a month. Of course, there are also logs, scanned documents, transaction descriptions, and just so much more all over our products. Textual data appears in various interactions with our customers. In most cases, this type of data is a direct and unfiltered input that we get from customers. Therefore, there's great importance to process it and understand it correctly. Traditionally, teams around the company would contact us and we would work together with them to find those places where NLP could offer the most impact for our customers. We define the problem and the metrics together with them. Then, we might initiate the POC. Provided all goes well, we'd move on. Then, we write our production code and deploy it on our existing infrastructure. Then, of course, we might monitor and iterate as needed. From start to finish, takes a quarter, even two, easily, depending on the complexity. Now, in recent years, as news of our team and the work we do spread around the company and the need for NLP solutions grew, we started getting more and more requests for services from all over the company. Quite a lot more than we can realistically support. We started working with customer success and sales and marketing and other teams all across the company. Lucky for us, the NLP domain has a small set of major capabilities, and we can serve most of them with a collection of generic services and code packages. Generic services offer two huge benefits for our internal customers: zero lead time and no dependency on the NLP team. Together, that means we kicked open the door to massive scalability. They don't need to wait for us. They don't need to wait for development. They can just go and use the service. Now, these services emerge from solving real customer problems, and they evolve into reusable services. Now, it should be noted that although the platform hosts a collection of NLP capabilities, it's not intended to replace all NLP related work that we do at Intuit. Actually, quite the contrary. The main focus is to encompass areas where several similar needs could be served by one service. So, if this side is too complex and this side is too simple, then platform services, they live in a sweet spot, right in the middle. On one end, we don't want to do simple, small things like stop words removal, which are often already covered by existing packages. On the other end, some projects are just too big, too specific, and too complex to be generalized as part of a platform. So we continue to support those independently. We started to build two different major types of components. Online services, like sentiment and summarization that we saw before, and Python packages. First, let's talk about online services. Here, at least in most cases, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Hugging Face is a community that allows anyone, including individuals and large companies like Microsoft and Facebook, to upload trained models and offers open source code to inference them locally. Utilizing this community and what they offer, we were able to deploy several state-of-the-art pre-trained transformer models like the summarization and sentiment within just a few weeks. To do so, we utilized pre-existing machine learning infrastructure that we have here internally at Intuit. Once up, the services are easily consumed via a post request with standard API. As far as code packages go, we of course utilize Python, and we develop them together alongside with several potential internal customers. And we made sure to put an emphasis on solving all of our needs while developing the package to be generic for other needs as well. Now at this point, we should probably offer a word on who's the target audience for this whole thing, for this platform. Right now, it's mainly aimed at analysts and developers, internal of course. However, we've seen that data scientists also use the platform to accelerate their development for certain projects. As promised, a few things that we could have done better along the way. Very quickly into the process, we realized we should have put more emphasis at how services will be consumed. As we mentioned, services are available via REST API, and code packages are written in Python. Since building the services, we noted that many customers weren't necessarily versed on a needed coding background, as minimal as it might be. So they still require our assistance to consume them. In other words, we built reusable services, but not self-serve services, which is what we're aiming at. So today, we have a concentrated effort to build a supporting UI, which would offer customers an end-to-end, no-code solution. We've also learned that the whole workflow is only as strong as its weakest link, and we really need to invest a lot into internal documentation and advertising for the platform to achieve its fullest potential. So in this case, the documentation and advertising are really no less important than the models themselves. At this point, you're probably asking yourself, did he forget about auto NLP? What about training models? And you're right. There's a major need that we still need to address. But you have to learn to walk before you can run. It's important to build things from the ground up, starting simple and working up to more advanced capabilities. Now I want to highlight a few key paradigms that we found are important to keep in mind when building a platform. First of all, maturity. This is probably the most important thing. There are many things that go into service and code maturity, most of which we probably skip over when we're just building a model or a service for a single customer. At Intuit, we have a whole capability maturity model, and it defines 5 different levels of maturity. It covers things like onboarding time, development roadmap for the future, standard schemas, code coverage, SLA, versioning, availability. It even goes as far as mentioning office hours with our customers. Far beyond the topic of today's talk, but it's very important to keep in mind. It's important that you guys explore these standards for your company. Next is durable advantage. We touched on this a little bit. We're not looking to duplicate services that can be easily implemented with existing packages, something like NLTK or Spacey. On the other hand, you don't want to go crazy and build something very specific that's gonna serve one customer. We don't really achieve much that way. Next is documentation. I've yet to find the person that enjoys writing documentation, but as we've mentioned, it's no less important than the services themselves. Standard deployment stack. So your company probably has a technology stack that you use to deploy your AI models. It's very important to keep things standard and use the same stack for all your services at the company. Discoverability. You need to offer developers a very good and easy way to search, discover, and learn about the services you offer if you expect them to use it. Inner source readiness. This is probably more relevant once your platform matures a little bit more, but on the way there, it's important to keep it in mind. It's important that your code is well documented and easily understandable, so that when you get to that point, you can offer the opportunity for consumers to enhance and extend your services. So, we started this journey asking, how can we achieve the most impact with NLP? Of course, given constrained resources. And we saw how at Intuit we were able to achieve a dramatic shift in how NLP services are built and consumed, and how in doing so we proliferated their use throughout the company without requiring any additional manpower. I hope today's talk was useful for you in building your own enterprise NLP platform. Thank you for your time. I invite you to follow Intuit on all major platforms and add me on LinkedIn. Thank you.